I never thought the sound of silence could feel like a punch to the gut, until I stood in front of a pile of splintered wood, shattered memories, and the hollow echo of what used to be my home. No warning, no notice, just gone. A two-story craftsman I'd spent the better part of 5 years restoring with my own hands bulldozed into a mound of debris while I was at work. And the kicker? It wasn't a storm, a fire, or even a gas leak. It was the HOA. Yeah, the Homeowners Association. Those clipboard-carrying tyrants who hand out citations for lawn height and mailbox colors had apparently decided my house was some kind of threat to the neighborhood's aesthetic. So they took action. But this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some tragic miscommunication. It was targeted, personal, and illegal. So while the president of the HOA, Miriam Caldwell, or as the neighbors lovingly call her, Queen Karen, was out celebrating her cleanup efforts, she had no idea I'd already made a call of my own. Not to a lawyer, to the FBI. And this is the story of how a power-tripping HOA went too far, and how I burned their whole corrupt little empire to the ground, without ever lighting a match. It started like any other Saturday. Coffee, dog walk, a trip to the hardware store. I was halfway home when I got the call. My neighbor Rick, voice trembling. Hey man, are you out of town? No, just across town. Why? There was a pause, then the words that stopped my heart. Dude, they're tearing your house down. I thought it was a joke, maybe a prank. I laughed until I heard the rumble in the background. The unmistakable roar of heavy machinery. I floored it, ran 2 red lights. When I pulled onto my street, I could see it from 6 blocks away, the cloud of dust hanging over my roofline, or what used to be my roofline. There were people standing on the sidewalk, phones out. A yellow excavator parked like a monster in my front yard, finishing the job. I stumbled out of the truck, ran past the tape. Yes, they had the audacity to mark it off like a crime scene, and screamed, "What the hell are you doing?" A man in a reflective vest shrugged. Orders from the HOA. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My tools, my furniture, my grandfather's clock. Everything was inside, and they didn't even knock. Miriam Caldwell strolled over like she was walking a red carpet, sipping from a stainless steel tumbler. "It was condemned," she said, with that smug little half-smile. "We voted on it last week. You didn't attend the meeting, because you sent the notice to an old email address," I said, fists shaking. "Well," she replied, already turning away, "you should check your spam folder." That was just the beginning. Turns out, my house wasn't on any condemned property list. There were no violations, no fines, no legal documentation. Just Miriam's word and the blind obedience of a few HOA board members too scared or lazy to question her. That week, I started digging, and what I found made the bulldozing look tame. Miriam had been running the HOA like a mob boss, intimidating elderly neighbors into selling at below-market prices, slapping absurd fines on new homeowners, and quietly flipping properties under a dummy LLC tied to her son. My house? It stood in the way of her latest development deal. But she made one mistake. She assumed I'd roll over, that I'd pack up and disappear. She didn't know who she was dealing with. While Miriam was busy forging documents and buying silence, I was building my case. Paper trail, witnesses, emails, photos, even drone footage of her private contractors hauling out my appliances before the demolition. I didn't just go to the police. I went to a federal property crimes division, and thanks to the dollar value of what was destroyed and her little real estate racket, I had their attention. The investigation took weeks, but watching her sweat every time I strolled through the neighborhood? Worth it. And then, the agents came. 3 black SUVs, unmarked, right in front of her perfectly manicured lawn. They didn't knock. They walked straight past her fountain and through her front door. She was arrested for fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, destruction of private property, and about 6 other charges I'd never heard before. The neighborhood exploded with whispers. Rick told me later that Miriam tried to claim I set her up. I did. Legally, carefully, and publicly. As they let her out in cuffs, I stood on what used to be my front lawn, now cleaned and prepped for a new foundation. She locked eyes with me and I smiled. "You should have checked your spam folder. I'm rebuilding now. Not just my house, but the whole HOA board. New rules, new members, transparency, and absolutely zero tolerance for tyrants. Sometimes justice doesn't come fast, but when it lands, it's loud. And just like that excavator, it doesn't knock. Let me ask you, if someone demolished your house without warning, what would you do? Drop a comment below. Would you go nuclear or stay silent? And if you made it this far, comment "justice served" so I know you ride with me. Hit that like button, subscribe for more real stories, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is letting karma handle the demolition.